Hi everyone, welcome back to the Art of Safe Scumming. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about the Kislev rework, and I'm framing this from the perspective of a lot of people, at least from what I read online, don't like Mother Ostankya, and I was kind of in that camp, except for now she has the ability to teleport back to Kislev on turn 2. At the start of turn 2, you get a dilemma where she can hop back to Kislev, and you basically land right here, and there's a minor Norscan faction. And what I'm going to do now is confederate myself into Prague. And now, not only do I have one of the major cities, Hell Pit, I've taken out the Skaven. I'm now allied with both factions of Kislev that are located in Kislev. I've met Boris. I've got an alliance here with Malachi. And basically, what I'm calling this campaign, Mother Ostankya, is the Unite Kislev campaign. Because usually what happens if you've played as Katerin or Kastaltin or Boris is she starts all the way over here, and there's no real way to get over there in time before she gets wiped out, unless you send an agent like on turn 1, and then even then you won't likely get over there in time. She does get wiped out quite quickly in Immortal Empires.
The call of the head.
Ostankya being able to hop back into this area of Kislev puts her in a situation where she might be the most powerful legendary lord for Kislev. And I'm telling you that you should probably go back and take a look at Mother Ostankya, particularly if you didn't like her in the past. Now, as far as the supporters system is concerned, you guys have seen this all over the internet. When I look at this, I think that the Orthodoxy stuff is more in line with my playstyle. Like, so if we look at some of the stuff here that's available for the Ice Court, like it's very Ice Court specific stuff. Like all that stuff there boosts the individual units. But I would say that like I spend a whole heck of a lot more time using armored Kossars and regular Kossars than I do end up using the Ice Guard and stuff like that, or even the Sar Guard. I mean, I do eventually get into them, but like even if you're playing as Katerin, which I have played as Katerin, I feel like these are more late game buffs, and these are over here are more early game to mid game buffs. And I mean, I'm using these well into the mid to late game anyway. But also when it comes to like some of the ones that I've selected, for instance, construction cost minus 25% for infrastructure buildings and reduction time on the construction. Like I'm building a whole lot of infrastructure buildings. The other thing that I've selected here is resource buildings, no construction cost. Like, you can spend a lot of money on resources throughout a campaign. So that was the first one that I selected. As far as the Ice Court is concerned, which one did I pick? Upkeep in my own territory. And as long as you're capturing territory, you basically are always in your own territory. But if I was going to select another one, let's just click through here real quick. Let's see. Maybe Ice Court capacity. Yeah, hero capacity for Frost Maidens right there. And the reason you want that capacity for Frost Maidens is because if I go into my Frost Maiden that I have recruited here, Patriarchs, they have a trait in the training that gives you extra Patriarch capacity. So I've trained these up to do the area of effect blast that's tied to the character location, the campaign movement range and upkeep reduction, and then get me more Patriarchs, because Patriarchs are awesome. So, like, if I were to go in there right now, I can currently, on turn 16, recruit 4 Patriarchs. I've got a technology brewing right here to get me another one. And each time I get a new Frost Maiden, I can get another one. and it's not even tied to this building. So, I mean, you can get more through here. So you can get an absolute crap load of patriarchs. Now, in addition to that, when I look at the, I don't want to call it a race, the balancing act between these, when you play as either Kislev or Katerin, what you end up doing is you end up basically building yourself up to compensate to the other side. So when you play as Katerin, you end up building a whole bunch of stuff to build up Orthodoxy support, and when you play as Kislev, you end up building a whole bunch of stuff to build up Ice Court support. And what that ends up doing is when you aren't actually fighting the battles that you need to get your own support, this ends up falling off. So you end up basically running crazy into the support for the other faction. And I find that Ostankya ends up being very balanced in this. Even though Kislevin's a little bit ahead, or my Orthodoxy support's a little bit ahead, both of these are battles for chaos. Battles for chaos. See, when I fight against chaos, both of these factions get it, versus like when you play as Katerin, for instance, you only get support when you fight chaos. And then when you fight like the Skaven, for instance, those are enemies of Kislev. They're not chaos factions, so you're building a whole bunch of support for him. So it gets unbalanced pretty quickly when you're playing as one of those factions versus Ostankya. You guys have seen this all over the place. The Ataman attack, basically the area of effect that allows them to attack. I just assumed that this was going to be at the capital city of whatever province it was going to be in, like the seat of power. I just assumed that's where it was going to be. Yeah, it's the entire province, which I was not expecting that, and that is a pleasant surprise. I really, really like that. That's for sure. So this should be every single faction. There should be some kind of mechanic. And I would also like to see them bring back the build your own garrison thing. We already have that mechanic for the ogres. And I understand making everybody samey, but like if they did a broad implementation of that, I feel like it would be a welcome thing. Because like, for instance, I understand you have the ability to build these buildings right here that increase the garrison. But like if I want to create, say, a huge defensive position right here and here, because these are the two avenues into my territory, then I should have the latitude to be able to do that without having to station an army there and increase my supply lines. So I should be able to just put units into this position, because this is where an attack is going to come from. This is where an attack is going to come from. This is where an attack is going to come from, because those are ports. So if I could stack a whole bunch of units in there without having to pay supply line plus upkeep, then that would drastically increase the defensive capabilities. But that's not even counting the ability to sally out for a particular distance. I like that they've limited it a little bit so that I find that, like, for instance, like the Medieval 2 system gets a little bit kind of crazy, where you just take an army without a leader and just kind of throw them out there, and it's a little bit more cumbersome than what we've got going here. This is substantially cleaned up, so I like that quite a bit. Now, as far as the rest of the stuff is concerned, the reason I think that you ought to go back and look at Ostankya on top of the ability to basically just hop back here is, not only do you have this sort of thing going on, but you also have her additional mechanics. So you have more stuff to do on top of what you're already doing with this supporter kind of balancing act. So I think that that's a little bit more engaging, and I think that that would result in a longer term play. But ultimately, when it comes to positioning, hopping back to Kislev I think puts you in a very difficult position because you basically have to move quickly because you're surrounded by enemies. Like you land here, Thrott's over here. You've got Norska here. You've got Throg coming in over here. You've got the Chaos Dwarves and Arbol over here. And then, of course, you're going to start getting wave attacked by Archaon over here. So as far as the positioning is concerned, if you can consolidate this area quickly, then you basically have your back to all of Kislev, and you can just rapidly attack into the Chaos Dwarves, rapidly attack into this area over here that Arbol holds. And I think that basically, again, I'm calling it the Unite Kislev campaign, but it's also take the fight to chaos as Kislev campaign. So I'm telling you, go back, take another look at Ostankya, take her home to Kislev, and have yourself a chaos smashing good time.